Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Bull Session, the podcast, episode number 4. We've made 3 of these, and this is number 4, my friend.
How many people are actually listening?
Like 2. 3 now. One of them's sitting over there. But, hey.
Good. All right.
Welcome to the program. I happen to be Buck Russell,
I'm Marcus Cross.
and we thank you to the program. We know we've been around in about 2 weeks, so we try to do this when we can, and we had a good...
Sometimes masturbation interrupts things.
Yeah, it's
okay.
you got to do some things sometimes with what you have to do, but hey, we do what we can. But it's been about 2 weeks since we've done this, and of course we've got way more stuff by the orangutan in chief, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, he is good for something.
Oh, it's fun when we get to follow stuff like that, and maybe later on we'll also get into other things that will not be presidential. One thing that I will always like doing is, I know it did the same thing to me. This is Gordon. The getting into the box office would be nice, and we also have football coming up. Football, thank God, football. Football. But we are going to start today's program, episode number 4, talking about something that just makes us sick. We happen to be very open-minded people. Yes, we knock on Trump supporters, and if I offend anyone, I apologize, okay?
No, you don't.
Yeah, no, I do. I don't mean to offend. I don't. But there are things that some Trump supporters think and do, especially these idiots that we're going to talk about here in a minute, that literally have us just with the future of the human race in their hands, just get sick, okay? I cannot find the article, unfortunately, but Friday night
I
I
have some
If
stuff
you have
up.
it, no, go ahead. If you got it up on yours.
I have one person was killed yesterday in Charlottesville, Virginia.
There was a KKK white supremacist rally.
It was supposed to be a Unite the Right rally over the statue of Robert E. Lee being taken
away
down.
from, I think they call it now Emancipation Park.
Yes, that's it.
Before it was Robert E. Lee Park. They want to remove a statue of a Confederate general, Robert E. Lee. And since the Confederacy was the symbol of white supremacism back then, which it wasn't, of course the white supremacists think that it's their duty to uphold that that ideal that is, and it's not. It was more of a, honestly, in my opinion,
South from the Civil War.
Right. It was a stand of defiance and not of supremacy.
Right.
And these idiots have warped that history, which is unfortunately a terrible and bloody part of our country's history.
Yes.
And in fact, I remember seeing
they
an
lost
article, and they lost
too,
so
hey,
and they were completely, they were not organized as well as the Union soldiers were. So, but then I remember seeing they have this horrible thing. They get in there, they're carrying tiki torches.
That was the night before. Against
they get this big fight and everything, and then somebody runs over some protesters, and we'll get into that here in a little while. But why wouldn't? And this is another thing that comes out of this is that why is the administration not stepping up to the plate and saying, "Hey, what the fuck?"
Well,
because they're not. None of them. I mean, not even Mr. Religious himself, Mr. Vice President Pence, is not even saying anything. It's like a silence.
You mean the
from
guy
the
who says he's religious but just uses God as a way to attract voters?
Yes. I am going to read an article from NPR.
Well, here's the thing. He could have said something the fucking night before. He didn't even come on and make any official statement when this was going on in the morning. I mean, he did eventually, but it was already well into the whole thing before he made any kind of a statement. In his statement, I'm sorry, people can come on and they can fucking say, "Oh, it was, he like they showed fucking Fig Newton Gingrich with his 50 fucking chins and saying, "Oh, he egregiously despite he said it was terrible, and he made a big statement. He read a fucking statement off of a card And it didn't even look like he gave two shits about what he was doing. Then he went like right back to talking about Korea or whatever the fuck. So no, he didn't really. Yes, he made a statement, but it wasn't sincere by any means at all because Sebastian Gorka, fucking Nazi boy himself, and Steve Bannon are both well in Trump's administration. Steve Bannon is a confessed white supremacist, and Sebastian Gorka wore Nazi fucking medals to Trump's inauguration.
Interesting.
How about you fucking fire those assholes, dickhead?
Well, we are going, if I may,
Sorry, but that's all true. These are people in his administration.
from NPR. This was updated at about 11 o'clock Eastern this morning.
I suppose that's fake news.
This is fake news. Political leaders used Twitter to respond to a violent confrontation that began Friday night in Charlottesville, Virginia, continuing the Unite the Right rally that pitted members of the alt-right, Ku Klux Klan, and neo-Nazi groups against anti-racism counter-protesters on Saturday that turned deadly when a car plowed into a group of pedestrians. Republican officials from the president, the members of the House and Senate went online to speak out of bigotry and Trump. But President Trump came under criticism from some of the members of his own party for not speaking out forcefully enough. While the president remained silent on the white nationalist march against the University of Virginia campus Friday night, he reacted to street balls, fistfights, and attacks and homemade pepper spray the next day in a broadly worded tweet, quote, broadly worded tweet Saturday afternoon. There's no place for this kind of violence in America. Let's come together as one. I think a day late and a dollar short on this.
Bet.
Just for the fact that he said, he's not saying, he said, there are many sides to this. No, there's not.
No,
there is
there is
white
not.
supremacists and the peaceful supporters. And here's another thing that last week there was a bombing, or not a bombing, but an improvised detonation device at a mosque somewhere in Minnesota. I can't remember the city off the top of my head.
Okay.
But somebody threw a pipe bomb or something, or a firecracker, whatever, caused damage into a mosque in Minnesota.
Okay.
Did he say anything? Of
course
no,
not.
he did not. He was silent. Why? Because he does not care about it. If it's not about him, he don't care.
He does not care.
I'm not going to sit there and suppose to be like, oh, well, maybe, no. This isn't about
No.
him. He doesn't care.
He doesn't give
so
a shit.
he's not coming out and saying, hey, we're not sitting there standing. And then Vice President Pence comes out and supports the president. Well, of course you have to, genius. He's your boss.
Right.
He's firing everybody else. He could fire you too, But it's just, there's no, in this article, there is no really anyone trying to not having the support like what happened in England with the terrorist bombings in England in I think three places that nearly they were trying to basically shut down the government.
Right.
The prime minister, the queen, every member of parliament was backed and supported him and been like, we do not support this. We stand together. We will fight this.
Exactly.
Here's another one.
You have the biggest pulpit, and you can't say shit. Come on.
There are some people.
Right, because they're fucking Steve Bannon's fucking relatives in the fucking rally. Seriously.
Here's
here's
one
You
thing.
may laugh at that, but it's the truth.
No, you're more than likely right, but we do not know. There is something here. Senator Cory Gardner, a Republican from Colorado, tweeted, "Mr. President, we must call evil by its name. There were white supremacists, and this was domestic terrorism."
With the car going
Republican.
into that crowd.
Gardner's sentiments were echoed in tweets by Senator Chuck Grassley.
He's
an
from
Iowa
Iowa,
Republican.
yep.
Senator Marco Rubio, who's from Florida. Senator
Yep.
Orrin Hatch, who's from Utah. Senator Tim Scott, who's from South Carolina. And, unfortunately, House Speaker Paul Ryan. I shouldn't say unfortunately, I just don't like the guy. But
I don't
literally,
like him either. He's a douchebag.
the people
They
that
all came out and condemned this.
Right.
Yes.
It's to say if they're echoing or saying something like this, then they have more of a spine than our own
Of
president.
course.
Even the guy that looks like he's got a permanent RBF, which is resting bitch face, and he does.
He
But I
came
mean-
out and said it. They all did. Why can't you cannot tell white supremacists and neo-Nazis to go away and you have no place in this country? You can't say that?
I believe there's an article that was saying that Orrin
He
Hatch.
didn't? He couldn't?
No, Orrin Hatch said, and Orrin Hatch, now one of our favorite people on this program,
Right.
said that goes, what did my brother fight and die for in World War II?
Right.
His brother, when he was 9, fought in World War II and
Okay.
died. I believe it was somewhere in Austria, if I remember the article
Okay.
correctly. And he's like, this is not what my brother fought for. We should be fighting against this hatred and this
Yes.
bigotry. Orrin Hatch, a Republican.
Yes.
Well, you know, why are all of a sudden people are getting more polarized, and even the Republican right that are becoming more polarized and being like, hey, you need to stand up. Maybe, and I'm going to suppose this, is that maybe Trump is doing some good in making America great again to the point where everybody is going to hate him.
Yeah.
And they're all going to come together and we're all going to be like, hey, guess what? This is the way that life should be, is that we should be better people. We should not be letting hate get into the world. We should not be
Right.
showing hate in this country. And there was one idiot on one of the on record, I wish I knew his name, that said, we are here to take back our country.
David
This
Duke.
was never our, no, it wasn't David Duke. I don't know. We have to allege that. We have to be careful. But I mean, seriously, this is not our country. We took this country from the Indians,
Right.
okay, and from the Native Americans.
Right.
You know, we are here at a terrible, terrible cost. So for those idiots to say that we are going to take our country back, you know what? It wasn't ours to begin with.
No, it was not.
You know,
We
it was
stole
it
it.
was so funny when you know when people are like, you know.
I hate to say that, but it's true.
True, it is, you know, and for those idiots to come up to that and say, excuse me, I am very belchy today, for them to come up and say something like that, and that's another thing, it's like the Make America Great thing. America was fine before he came around.
Yeah, well, that's what I want to know. What does that mean? Not one of his supporters or even his administration can even explain that stupid fucking quote. Make America great again. What time are you talking about? You know?
Yeah. Oh, wow, I think I know this guy. I'm also quoting from NPR here as we continue on this Charlottesville. This guy was charged with murder in the car attack during the anti-white nationalist march. A man who appeared to be protesting Saturday with a group of self-proclaimed fascists is accused of killing a woman and injuring multiple others by driving his car into a crowd of marchers in Charlottesville. James Alex Fields Jr., 20 years old.
Yep. He looks like he's about 45.
And no, if you look at him, he looks pretty young. I have the picture on this.
I've seen the picture of him. They were
Yeah.
showing him all day on the news. He looks, I don't know.
Well, here's the one thing is that most of the
Prejudice has worn good on his face.
Well, the one thing too is that
He's-
most of the people in this march, by accounts, by media accounts, not fake news, media accounts.
Oh,
you
they're
know,
all very young.
You know, they were saying 20s, 30s,
Yep.
maybe even early or late teens.
Yep.
You know, which scares me even more because a lot of the times with white supremacist groups, they believe that they're older, 40s, 50s. You know, you get some 30s in there, you get some 60s, some older boys, some good old boys. They don't have that now. You know, when you got 20s and 30s in there, why? I mean, I don't understand. But as I continue, James Alex Fields Jr.
They
spent
can
his
be taught too.
Yes, you
I
can.
mean,
We are not taught to hate. We are taught to love. That's what we should be doing. Sped hit a silver Dodge Challenger into a crowd of people who have been protesting the assembly of white nationalists, white supremacists, fascists, and others, according to police. Authorities say that Charlottesville resident Heather Hayer, 32, was killed in the
she
attack.
was killed.
Fields has
Two
been charged
Virginia
with
State
one,
troopers were also killed in the helicopter crash.
and that was
The
at
three
I believe that was.
people-
I heard that was a separate incident, though. I don't believe that was.
I
anything.
think that they were trying to come.
Let's see if I can find anything.
Yeah, I mean, total with this whole thing, 3 people have died, and I believe 19 have been
There
injured.
were 2 Virginia State Police troopers investigating the day's events died when the helicopter they were in crashed in Albemarle County, where Charlottesville is located.
Okay.
And it really doesn't say much more than that.
Heather was killed with the car attack.
Yes.
And there is, I think, 5 in critical condition and 19 wounded with this whole thing.
It's sickening. It's extremely sickening, just for the fact that I don't understand why. You know, I come from a different time. You and I we're both in our 40s now. We come from a time where, you know, things were different. You know, when we were growing up, there were shows like, and you could call these sexually charged or interesting shows like All in the Family. All in the Family showed a bigot, and he was the biggest hit on television, aren't you, Bunker?
Right. But
But it
was
also showed-
showing.
It also showed that, yeah, even though he was a bigot, there was,
But
and I'm not
people
saying
but
bigotry
they
is
kind of showed people making fun of him and just
Right.
how close-minded
how
his
close-minded he
ideologies
was.
were.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and
that was in the
yeah.
70s.
And that was in the 70s. You see something like that now. Do you think that would have worked now? No, it
No,
wouldn't have.
it
No one. They
wouldn't.
wouldn't even took a chance on it.
No, they wouldn't have.
You know, they would have something with explosions and boom, and it would be an hour long and be god awful. You know, like most television is now, because there's no substance to that, and it just things I guess I will never understand as I get older. You know.
No,
that's something to this level
I don't
would
think
happen.
you can really understand that. But I think we have to kind of try and see, because that's how you win the fight against them.
Exactly.
You know,
It's something that I
you
really,
have to try to kind of find where they're coming from, as bad as that sounds, because none of us can understand it. But how else do you defeat them? You know.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know what it's like to have a bladder bag like Donald Trump, or to be 400 pounds like Donald Trump, or to
hey,
eat.
I'm 360. Give me a
You're,
break.
you,
Give me a break.
he's got you beat, and he has a bladder bag. You don't have one of those, or to wear a diaper. I don't know what it's like to wear a diaper like our president, but
No, just be careful.
or to wear a toupee, or to dye that toupee's.
Did you ever see? I don't.
Dye the
I
toupee
have
blonde.
To, I have
I
to
mean,
admit,
I
if
don't-
you're going to come to that, is I'm not going to defend him. But did you ever see when he was on? It was either Leno or Jimmy Fallon or Conan. Donald Trump was, and they say, "Can I mess your hair up?" And they did, and it was
Oh.
just like it was
The
like
plugs?
it was probably plugged because it looked like a horrible comb over. It was so bad. I mean, it was seriously bad. I mean, when he was done, he looked like Rip Taylor.
Yeah,
you know, the man that
Well,
always.
what 70-year-old man has blonde hair? I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, it's like an off orange. It's like
It's
like he was eating Cheetos, and when he got done with, when your hand gets that hand after you eat Cheetos and you get that orange color on your hands, the cheese. Then
That
he just
you
kind
use.
of he just wiped it in his hair. That's what it looks like to me.
Might
That
have, I don't
particular
know.
color.
It looks like hay.
Maybe I don't know.
It does. It looks like hay.
But I
that
never
my grandpa
trusted-
used to have in the barn. It
I
looked like
never
hay.
I never trusted a guy that eats a
made a
steak well
weave.
done. I'm just gonna say that.
Makes a weave out
Eats a
of it.
steak well done with ketchup. I'll never trust a guy that eats a steak well
He
done.
does?
With ketchup. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and has a Diet Coke. Only fat guys drink Diet Coke.
Where'd you hear that? Fake news.
Fake news.
Fake news.
No, he does.
I do not eat my steak well done.
Yeah, I don't get it, but
Anyway, how do we get on that subject? Anyway,
I don't
well,
know,
we have to. The point about this whole thing is,
Yeah.
I think we have to try to understand. I was talking about this with a friend earlier. We were trying to understand, and she had mentioned the whole. Well, what did they get out of this? You know, they were having this
No,
Unite
that's
the
a-
Right rally. What did they get out of this? Did they get new people going? Oh, yeah. This sounds good. Those Nazis really get things done. I want to join their party.
Yeah.
I mean, what did they get out of this whole thing?
No,
Did they get new
you've gotta-
recruits? I don't. What did they get out of the whole thing of this whole
you have
this whole
I
bullshit?
never thought of it that way, and that's actually
They didn't get anything.
That's a really good idea. Yeah,
They got a bunch of innocent people fucking hurt. 2 officers lost their lives. They got many more injured, and a bunch of people looking at all this stuff online going, "What a bunch of fucking bastards!"
Yeah.
And why hasn't our president condemned them better? That's what everybody is seeing right now today, and they're going, "Okay, what was the fucking point in all this?" And I think it's funny because one of the protesters had said this when they were showing this yesterday. He was screaming, and he's like, "Your ideology is going to die with you. Fuck your fucking racism or whatever. Your ideology is going to die with you. And he kept saying that. And I'm like, you really have a point there.
Yeah.
Because today people, young people, millennials, everybody is looking online at their iPads and their laptops, and they're seeing all this, and they're going, I mean, if that group is small as I know,
It's
they
probably
probably
nowhere to
did-
level it was when we were younger.
they
I don't think
probably
it's to anywhere to level it
right.
was like
They
when my
probably
dad was
have
younger.
gained some small-minded, people to be in their organizations. Maybe I don't know. I mean more.
Yeah.
I mean, after yesterday, but majority of the people in this country are going, "What a bunch of fucking bastards!" If they weren't already hated enough,
Now, I'm going to take a break. because we've hit the 20-minute mark, and we'll hit our second topic here in just a minute. We'll be right back here on Bull Session, the podcast. Stay tuned. Appreciate you sticking with us, even though, for you it's like 3 seconds, and for us it's like a good half hour to jerk off. But hey, welcome back to Bull Session, 22 minutes. Bull Session, the podcast. I am Buck Russell.
I'm Marcus Cross.
And thank you for listening, all 4 of you. We really appreciate it. We like to have fun, and later on we will actually be getting into some more positive topics. Getting off this politics jazz, we're going to be talking about the box office and hopefully a little football.
Excellent.
But first, we need to talk about World War III, since it seems like it's inevitable now. Because now that the two and I will quote.
Hey! Rex Tillerson said we should all be able to sleep fine at night, go to bed fine, sleep at night.
I slept more at home and comfortable in my bed when I was 12. When the Russians were pregnant. Think about it. When we were in school, what did we have to worry about the most?
The Russians.
The Russians and thermonuclear war, and we still slept fine. I'm more nervous now at 40 with the
that's because even whether you agreed with the president then, Ronald Reagan, or George H.W. Bush, they at least had some integrity.
Yes, they did. Well, here's the funny thing now, too, is that now we'll quote Bill Maher and say that the two people with micro penises want to see who's got the biggest micro penis.
Have
you hear that laugh in the crowd is the new KMSI newscaster, Sunny Day or Night, is in the house. We appreciate you being here today. She is helping us out. So keeping the crowd in check. Thank you. Thank you, Sunny. Appreciate it.
Have you seen recent photos of Kim Jong-un?
No, I only see what they put on, like, Family Guy. Really, okay. I mean, I don't... because
dude, wow. He looks like a Down syndrome Korean kid.
And we don't.
If he was raped by a troll living under a fucking bridge. he no offense to any of them, but he has got to seriously. He's like one of the ugliest fucking human beings on the fucking face of the planet. Well, and he's fat as fuck, and his haircut looks so fucking stupid.
If he listens,
somebody needs to tell him how gay it looks. But they'll have him killed, whoever does. So
if he's listening to us, we've just instigated World War III.
I know, but I figured our president was going to do that anyway.
Yeah,
so.
but if you haven't realized that apparently North Korea has miniaturized a nuclear weapon that can be put on a missile that could reach anywhere between Los Angeles and Chicago, which of course we're in between those two places, and then of course the orangutan in charge seems to want to thump his chest and say, hey, look, I need to find the tweet if you can find it for me, because I'm not that very quick on the microphone.
The Fire and Fury tweet?
Yeah, the Fire and Fury tweet, please. It's just, they want to sit there and have this gigantic pissing contest with millions of people. Here's a great idea, North Korea. Why don't you stop developing military weaponry and start feeding your own people? Because there are people that are dying over there because they're not eating. There are people that are scared to even, have the freedoms. Now, as you can tell, we are not supporters of Mr. Trump by far, or most Republicans. But we have something that is very sacred to us, and that is the First Amendment of the Constitution, which states that we can speak our minds without retaliation. And that is one thing that no matter who you are in this world, that I would literally stand up for. And as much as it pains me to say it, is those Westboro Baptist idiots do have First Amendment rights too. Granted, they use them the wrong way and they get shut down, which is great because they don't say it right. But I mean, literally, one of the things is freedom of speech and freedom of the press are two of the greatest freedoms that this country has ever bestowed on its people. And I pray that those are things that will never get revoked as long as we continue to do this, or there are fake news. Or even Fox News, for that matter, even though Fox News is more fake news than any other news media. Did you find it?
He said,
quote.
Yeah, he said, North Korea better not make any more threats to the United States, or they will be met with fire and fury unlike the world has ever known.
Unquote. It is literally, do you really want to do that? That's like, when you're a kid,
you're throwing more fuel onto the fire.
Well,
some of the most experienced generals have said that was so fucking stupid for him to say this. we have to try the best we possibly can to negotiate
Yes.
this, with these guys,
Okay,
so we
here's-
avoid any kind of fucking disaster.
Okay, even FDR, even Winston Churchill, had to sit there and talk to Adolf Hitler.
Yes.
He was the most despised human being next to Mr. Trump at this point that this world has ever seen. Yeah, you know what? Sometimes you just got to suck it up and go up to him and say, you know what? Hey, we're talking a lot of shit. You know what? We don't want a war going on because,
Right.
what would happen if there was a nuclear war? Honestly, I don't think anyone thinks about it anymore.
Right.
Because in the 80s, you had that. And then when the Berlin Wall fell and the fall of communism in 89 or 91 or something, literally everybody's fears kind of went, they
Yeah.
kind of just let everything, it's like, okay, now
There
everything's
hasn't
cool.
really been a lot of talk about it. I mean, they had talked a little bit. Obama had talked a little bit about the fears of Pakistan because they
Yep.
have nuclear. So I mean, there was a little bit of talk of that. The fucking kooks with nukes.
Yeah.
But there's never been. I mean, it's never. North Korea's always kind of been. Meddling, a little bit through all the organizations, through when George W. Bush was there, and then when Obama came and took over, and then now they've always kind of, they've always kind of been kind of like, oh yeah, that guy's nuts, North Korea is bad, and they're nuts.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to always be talking to them because there's always the possibility they can gain nuclear weapons, blah, 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 blah. They've always been kind of on the back burner, but now it's gotten pretty scary recently.
Extremely scary.
With just the rhetoric between these two.
Well,
And both of them are so much like each other, that's what's even more scary, is they want to do this chest pounding bullshit. I'm not gonna say chicken. I ain't gonna back off yet. You gotta say chicken. Bullshit.
Yeah. And they've got this giant pissing contest going on right now, and it's like, who's going to flinch? You're right.
Yep.
You exactly
Yep.
right.
That's
who's
so
going to flinch first?
fucking stupid
It's
to
so
be doing this
Because you're looking
with people's lives on
yes,
line. Pretty much,
if they're, for example, if North Korea launched a nuclear missile and it hit Los Angeles, that's millions of people that are gone.
It is.
Like that, literally in that snap, they're gone. The ramifications to infrastructure, to the economy, to and then you would see a response close to 9/11 to the point where we would probably shoot 5 nuclear missiles,
Right.
and literally wipe North Korea off the map,
Right.
And then people would be like, that was too much. So then someone else would do something,
Yeah,
and literally it will begin World War III.
Yeah, it would.
And we are going to come out of it, and we're going to come out of it way worse than we ever have been in any other war, because I don't think people are smart enough to realize that this is something we don't want. War is not anything that these countries want anymore. And not that any war was something we wanted in World War I, World War II, Vietnam. No. It's just that there was some kind of ideal that was being challenged during those wars. World War I, it
Right.
was the death of someone who held one ideal. World War II was the Nazis.
Right.
Vietnam was communism. The Gulf Wars was, somebody being shitty and taking oil.
Right.
There was always been some kind of ideal. In this one, there's no ideals. It's a giant pissing contest.
Well, it is.
And who's going to get pissed on first?
Yeah. We
It's
don't
main to be seen.
we don't know. I mean, well, I just don't trust. I mean, that was kind of the other thing is people were saying, and a lot of journalists and press were saying, can we really trust anything coming out of the administration when there's been so much bullshit and so much, crap constantly going on? He points the fake news marker at CNN and NBC and anybody who isn't Fox News so often that he now has his fucking Trump TV. Have you seen this?
No, I have not seen this.
He has this Trump TV where he has people in his administration, in his press administration, come out and say all the great things he's been doing. And they say, that's the real
great
news
things
for
has he
today. That's the real news for today. It's basically, he calls fake news anybody who critiques him. Anybody
what
who
great has he
fucking
done?
critiques him.
Can you tell me something great he's done?
No, fuck no, I can't. You know I can't.
I-
but
that's the one thing I
go
don't
to
understand.
go to Trump TV and they will tell you.
That's the one
Because
thing
it's
is-
real news, Will.
Who? Who?
Buck. It's real news, Buck.
It's it's the one thing that you sit there and you try to understand is that CNN has been around for 50 years.
Longer than that.
Longer than that.
But
it was known something different, but CNN has been around. The Associated Press has been around for over 200 years.
Well,
NBC News has been around for over 80 years. ABC, CBS News has been around. Fox News has been around since 2002.
I think 99, 98,
Yeah.
they were around. 97 maybe.
It's not been long.
20 years,
they-
tops.
and they're owned by a gentleman who is a well-known person who is extremely conservative.
Yep.
To the point where the main Fox network is now separate from the Fox News networks.
Yeah.
They are two totally different things because if you look at Fox would not be able to get away with half the shit they would if they were covered by
Yeah.
the Fox News networks.
Yeah.
Because they somewhat have entertainment. Granted, the other one have entertainment value, but it's to the point where you want to, basically say, why? Why do you want to?
Well, I'm also not a 72-year-old white male, and that's 98% of Fox News' viewing crowd. But my point is this is if you can't trust, if people are questioning whether you can't trust information coming out of the administration in the current White House, then how the fuck do you trust Rex Tillerson saying sleep fine at night?
Exactly.
North Korea isn't going to do shit. No, we're good. I mean, when you can't trust anything coming out of there, then people are afraid. And
Exactly.
people need to know what the fuck is going on. And if you can't believe anything that's coming out of there, then what do you do?
Yeah, it's a very touchy subject because the one thing that literally terrifies most people now, and now that unfortunately that a considerable of them are gone, is during World War II when the bombs were dropped on Nagasaki and
yeah.
Hiroshima, which the 80th anniversary or 81st anniversary was this year,
Okay.
or 82nd, because it was in 1945. It would be 82nd.
Yep.
These are things that happened to people. There were reasons behind it, and whether or not Harry Truman slept well at night, he was the one that gave the order to
Right.
drop those in 1945. I would not want to have that on my conscience for the rest of my life. That knowing that doing that not only saved millions, maybe billions, but the lives that were taken in that just choice and that decision.
Well, there was a lot of innocent
There
lives
was a lot of innocent lives
in that
Exactly, that's
decision.
what I mean.
So,
And now when you think of something like that and you think of the ramifications and the justifications that the administration then would have to make in 1945.
well, they were also showing when it happened, from the view of the helicopter or whatever, or not the helicopter, the plane, when it happened, one of the guys that had done it, had dropped it or whatever and saw just, the destruction that it made. He was quoted as saying is, oh God, what have we done? Because
Exactly.
it was just such a catastrophic, this huge fucking atom explosion, this bomb that just,
Granted,
wiped out
the nuclear
so
yeah.
much, it's
the
just
nuclear
like,
testing had happened.
Whoa,
Yeah. The nuclear testing had happened, but there had been no
They
human
hadn't
casualties.
seen,
They had not seen it. And
seeing
so
just
now-
what it was doing, live. We're
Yeah.
doing this. We killed all these people,
Right. And now you see this in 2017. We go back to that and we think of that as like this 1945. There was a lot less people on this planet and a lot less understanding.
Yeah.
It's 2017. There's a lot more people on this planet, and there's still not that much understanding. Because I don't think anyone really wants to believe that something like this would happen, and you just never know. I mean, with the level of terrorism in this world, and the amount of idiocy in this world, is that you just don't know that if something like this is going to happen.
We thought we were smarter than this by now. We didn't.
We thought we would be.
We
We're
thought
not.
we wouldn't be. We're not. But we also thought,
I've
you
said it
didn't want to see stuff like what happened yesterday. We
Exactly.
thought we were better than this. Come
Yeah.
on,
I've
This
said
isn't 1955. This isn't 1965. This isn't. Come on.
I've said it before. I love my country. I still think it's the best country in the world, but Americans are fucking idiots because most of them don't realize how good they really have it. Oh my God, the working white man has it so freaking bad. Oh my God, you're making 35% more than you're making 35% more than white women. You're making 45% more than black men. You're making 50% more than black women. It's just like you've got it so hard. How many times have you been harassed by the police recently? You haven't,
yesterday.
because you're white. It just sits there and makes me realize that, just because the color of some, I have friends of color.
Where did you get those statistics, Will?
I don't know.
Fake news.
Probably fake news. But I mean, I've got friends that are black. I have friends that are gay. Are they any different from you and me? The only difference is one of them is a different color skin. The other one likes dudes and I don't. Literally, that's the difference. Yeah. Otherwise, they're still good people. They still pay their taxes. They still have a job. Oh my God, one of them might sleep with dudes. Wow. Okay, that's
how does that affect your life?
How does that affect them? Does that affect my life? Sonny, does that affect your life that some dude sleeps with another dude? I think she's asleep now. That's fine. Yeah, I was there for a minute, but you were asleep. It's okay. Go back to sleep. Go back to sleep. But I mean, literally, that's the big differences. And the differences between us and, say, the North Koreans is that we're Americans and they're North Koreans. We have, we can go buy food. Food is readily available for us.
Right.
The North Koreans, it's not readily available. There are people there that are starving.
And
we have jobs. We have money. They don't.
She was saying also, aren't they supposed to have... Don't they do something where they can only wear like black and something shirts?
Yeah.
I believe you're correct. Yes,
The men only have like 3 color choices.
I believe you have to bow to the statue of Mao Zedong. I believe in China.
And you have to
that's in China. Forgive me.
You have to cut your hair like a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
like Kim Jong-un's haircut that looks like he stuck his head up some donkey's
even his
ass.
his father was pretty moderate, but this one now it's
he was pretty bad too.
No, he was bad, but I mean
he is worse.
I think he's worse.
But his father was bad too. We've always been walking on eggshells with these guys.
And you have to think there's been one war that we've never literally won or lost or surrendered, and that was the Korean War. There was no there was just an armistice, so technically the U.S. is still at war there. So, hey, we're going to cut it a little short from the 20-minute mark because we want to get into the good stuff. We want to get stuff that makes you smile. So we're going to be back and we'll talk box office and hopefully a little football as we get to part 3 of the Bull Session podcast. Stay tuned.
Yes.
Welcome back, section 3, or part 3, Bull Session podcast. Buck Russell here with my good friend Marcus Cross. We are going to switch it up a little bit, go to the box office now, as we like to do back in the day, and we will continue to do it.
No, I won't.
I wish I had the music that I used to have for it, but I don't. But we'll talk about the box office and the...
Wasn't it like the Benny Hill theme song? It was like...
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, it was da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Anyways, we will talk over the back. Go start with the box office. Start at the bottom, number 12, I believe. I think there's 12 movies on this list.
Despicable Me 3.
7, 8, 9, 10.
12.
The one I have actually is Atomic Blonde. We
so
don't go
that's
to 12, so we go through 1 to 10.
Yeah.
Atomic
Blonde is
Atomic
10.
Blonde, $4.6 million, 3 weeks on the countdown, $42.8 million with... that is Charlize Theron or
Charlize Theron.
Charlize Theron.
I haven't seen it yet.
No, I neither have I. And I don't really know much about it, but it's apparently like a female version of James
It
Bond
takes
or
place
something.
in the 80s. It's based off of a graphic novel called The Cola City. And David Leitch, was one of the directors for the first John Wick movie, directed it.
John Wick, great movie.
And now he's directing the new Deadpool movie.
Deadpool 2?
Yep.
Nice.
This guy that did
Have you seen any
Atomic
previews for
Blonde
that?
it. No, I have not.
It's actually pretty funny.
Well, I saw the one with him going into the booth.
Yeah,
to
that's the
change.
only one I've seen,
Just
yeah.
like a teaser thing.
number 9 on the countdown this week, The Glass Castle. 1 week on the countdown, $4.9 million. I don't know much about that one either.
I know it's getting really good reviews. It's Brie Larson and Woody Harrelson's in it. It's getting really good reviews. Yeah, I don't know what it's about though. They said it's like loosely based on a true story drama that's getting good reviews. I don't know.
Number 8 on the countdown, Kidnapped, starring Halle
Halle
Berry. 5.2 million, 2 weeks on the countdown, $19.4 million it's made to this point. Apparently, She's it's like
It's
a
like a
female
sequel to
version.
The Call.
Apparently,
Because it looks a lot like the Call, which was a cool movie, but it looks
to
like
me, it looks
that.
like a female version of Taken.
Yeah, it
Because,
kinda does. She's-
You know, instead
yeah.
of like a teenage daughter, it's now her like young son.
Okay.
You know, and that's the one thing I wouldn't mind seeing. It's not something that's on top of my list. But,
Right.
number 6, Spider-Man: Homecoming, $6.1 million, $306.5 million in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
This one is after Civil War, so it shows the new Peter Parker.
Yep. What's his name? Tom Holland.
Tom Holland.
Yeah.
And in fact, I guess Robert Downey Jr. is in this one as well. You know, he's kind of
Some,
like a mentor or something of Spider-Man's after that.
Kind of
fact.
from the. I know Michael Keane plays Vulture,
Yes.
and I've heard really good things about it. I haven't seen it though.
I'm wary to see it because I've still not seen Captain America: Civil War.
Okay.
So I have about 2 movies. I have literally 2 movies before I can see it.
You're going in order. It's going to take.
I'm
you a
going
while.
order. No, I've only got Ant-Man and then Civil War.
Oh,
so I actually
okay.
have 2 left. Number 5 or number 6.
Yeah, 6.
Girls Trip, $6.5 million, 4 weeks on the countdown, made $97.2 million.
Jesus, that movie's made almost $100 million.
Almost $100 million.
Wow.
Not much about this one I know either. Unfortunately, it's
I
not
have
very.
not seen it.
Number 5, this one surprises me honestly.
The Emoji Movie?
The Emoji Movie. It surprises me more because I've not heard very good reviews on it. Other than like for kids and stuff, it's a good movie.
Right.
But it's
Is
you
it Pixar?
I don't believe so. Let's take a look here. I don't think it's Pixar, but it very well could be.
It looks really fucking stupid, but it's a
don't-
kids movie, and I don't have kids, so.
I don't think. I really.
But
don't
I like
think
some.
so.
I loved Secret Life of Pets. I saw
I've
that
not seen
last
that
year.
yet. That is on,
It was really good.
Trolls.
very
Did
funny.
you see Trolls?
I did
yet?
not see
Trolls.
Trolls,
Was
no.
good.
Trolls was good,
Trolls
really.
was good. Yes, it was. I really liked that. We saw that with my nephew. And
I heard that Inside Out was also really, really good.
I've heard
I
that
think
too.
it was
that
out
was
like 2
that
years
was
ago.
Disney. That was definitely Disney. I don't know
Yeah.
if Emoji Movie is. Number 4, The Dark Tower, and that stars Idris Elba. Is in that, and Matthew McConaughey. That one looks really, really interesting to me.
Yeah, I'd actually like to read the book at it. I heard some bad things. I heard was that they try to cram a lot into like an hour and like 40. It's only like an hour and like 36 minutes long.
Interesting.
And they don't even know if they're going to make other ones, but they were trying to cram kind of a lot so you don't get much backstory on the gunslinger, or you don't get a lot of. And they said if you haven't really read the books, you're going to be kind of, just by the way they presented it, by cramming so much into that time frame. I don't know why they wouldn't have made that movie longer, because it's based on a series of How many books are there in there?
Do you know
Sonny,
Sonny?
in the Dark Tower series?
In the Dark Tower series.
Stephen King series? You know?
Like 5 or 6?
5 or
Okay.
6. if
5
you
or
can
6
hear.
books?
I can look it
Impressive.
up real quick.
Thank you. Number 3 on the list. This also a debut. The Nut Job 2, Nutty by Nature. And this has, she was on Saturday Night Live.
Rudolph?
Maya Rudolph is doing a main voice in that.
So is Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan is in that, yep. I never saw the first one, so this
I
one,
did not either.
I'm not really keen on what's seeing it.
I don't
There's
think it's
8.
been out.
Wow, there's 8.
Out 8 books of the Dark
8
Tower
books of
series?
the Dark Tower series.
Okay.
So yeah, and that's what sometimes these movies do. They try to cram so much backstory into the first one because they don't want to.
Well, yeah,
like,
because they're
overplay
afraid
it.
it won't. But it's like you got an hour and a half. It's a
Yeah.
Stephen King book. He's
Yeah.
like so detailed with everything. Why wouldn't they at least make it like 2 hours or a little over 2
Or
hours or something?
more than
Not
one
make it
movie.
A TV series.
Yeah, a mini series and make it more than
Yeah.
one movie.
No, like an 8-season television series.
You know, they really have. I mean, the only miniseries I think that was even successful was The Stand, and that was in the '90s, and then had
The It
Gary
was a
Sinise.
miniseries.
It was a miniseries originally.
Yeah.
Before
Not a
the,
miniseries.
I think even
What was?
A TV show. It's
Oh,
on
you
for
said like a
8
TV
years.
show, yeah. Well, that would be the only way to successfully
Yeah.
do the Dark Tower if they were wanting to do that. You know, I don't get why they just let's just pick one book and, you know,
it might not even be the first book.
yeah.
You know,
I mean, I don't.
because you got to be careful, or you're going to end up having Matrix syndrome, which the first movie was great. There's a slight backstory, great action, but then you're like, okay, let's backtrack and tell you why, and then give you 2 movies of absolute shit.
I thought the second one was
The second
decent.
one was decent. The
I
third
was
one
disappointed in the
terrible.
third one, though.
But
I
see-
didn't think it was terrible. I was bored during it
Yeah.
because it's like, how many times are we going to see him fight Mr. fucking Smith? It's like
Yeah.
we saw him fight him like 3 times in the first one, which was all cool because we hadn't seen it before. But then he fights him a million times in the second one. It's like, okay, but now we're going to have him fight 10,000 Mr.
Another-
Smiths in
another
this one.
movie-
It's like, okay, we've seen this before, guys. Come on.
Another one that suffers from that same what I call Matrix syndrome would be the the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
the first one was good. You have to admit, the
I
first
really
one was
liked
good.
the first one a lot,
And then
actually.
the second one, you have a character that died in the first one, comes back in the second one, and becomes a major character in the rest.
See, I haven't
then-
seen the third one's the only one
and
I
then-
have not seen.
then
And I
you-
haven't seen the new one.
Then you see neither have I. I've
I
seen
saw
them all,
1,
but
2, and 4.
I've seen 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 2, and it has a ridiculous cliffhanger. And then 3, it's just like to
Oh,
get
they
there.
do have a ridiculous cliffhanger
Yes,
in part
it's
2.
just- and
but
it-
it's pretty
it
like,
reminded
what the
me-
fuck? Like,
Yeah, it reminded me considerably of the Matrix cliffhanger, how they
Okay.
ended the Matrix.
okay.
You know, and the 4th one I thought was good. I think it was Stranger Tides.
That one was fun. I thought that was a lot of
good.
fun.
And this one is Dead Men Tell No Tales, and I've not seen this one yet, but it was not in theaters long.
Well, it made a lot of money. I mean, it did do
Yeah.
like almost $1 billion with overseas and shit.
Oh yeah.
Those things just do.
Yeah.
They do well.
Well, it's Johnny Depp.
overseas.
People are going to love Johnny Depp
Well-
and most of the stuff he does. I mean,
Well,
with
I
the
mean, I'm
exception
talking
of
the
some
overseas
movies.
box
Oh, yeah.
office just loves it because China and all those just eat those movies up. So
number
it's
t-
always going to make back its money. once
Number 2 on the
overseas
list,
box
and this one
office.
has been a big holder. This one has
Yeah.
been stayed, has not dipped lower than 2 in its 4 weeks. This week it made $11.4 million. In 4 weeks, this movie has brought in $153.7 million.
$100 million budget.
Dunkirk.
Yeah.
It is the historical drama of the Dunkirk massacre during
Yeah.
World War II.
I heard it's really good.
This movie, I mean, I'm not
I've
the
heard really
biggest on
good
war
things.
movies. I've only got I think a handful that I've seen and enjoyed. Most of them, they make me uncomfortable. But I wouldn't mind seeing this one because this one's getting great reviews. This one's just getting,
well, Christopher Nolan's never done a movie that's been terrible.
No. And
Ever.
speaking of Christopher Nolan, you need to get HBO to move up the season 2 of Westworld because, man, you left it on such a
No,
place
that was
where-
Jonathan Nolan.
Or Jonathan Nolan. Just tell your brother. Tell him we need to know because the Westworld fans are getting a little antsy because we want to know.
That
and
will
we have
be
to
exciting
wait.
to
It's
see
very
when that
exciting.
starts up again. Yeah.
And then the number 1 movie this week is, and this one does not surprise me at all.
Annabelle Creation.
Annabelle Creation, $35 million in the first week.
That and The Conjuring 2, those movies do really well. And look at the budget, $15 million.
Yeah. Well, that's
You
the
know?
one thing is whoever's making these movies
Yeah.
is making them smart. They're
Well,
not,
they don't take much money to make.
No.
You know, and they know that it's going to make either 15, 20 million the first weekend. So they've already, most likely got their budget back without advertising and money
Another
and
thing
stuff
too
like
is
that.
I don't think
it's going to
now-
need to make more
now,
money.
I've never seen any of
but
these, any of the Conjuring
It's
movies.
going to make back its money, clearly.
But you've seen, I think, some of them.
I saw
haven't you?
1 and 2.
Was there any blood in those movies?
No,
If not much.
I don't think any at all,
That's
actually.
honestly, in my opinion,
It's-
is what makes a good horror movie.
I
is
mean,
that
I
jump
will
scare.
say the first one I thought was better than the second one.
Mm.
It was done well. The only thing I think with those movies, they say they're true stories, which I think they're heavily fucking exaggerated, but they make for an entertaining horror movie. It may be based off of a case that one of them had.
I think that's what it is. It's
Yeah, but
because the people that
Lorraine and Ed Warren or
they're
whatever.
actually paranormal investigators.
She still
which
goes
is
out on
true,
cases. Ed
you know.
died, I think, like 12 or 15 years ago. But it's like
But then they have Ghost Hunters or whatever,
Ghost Adventure.
Ghost Adventures.
Zach Bagans.
Now
But-
that's the box office, everyone. But
The first one was really good. The second one I thought was also good. But they did so well. 1 and
Yeah.
2 both did so well. Annabelle, I did not see the first Annabelle, and it was just called Annabelle. My
there was
brother
a
saw
Conjuring,
it.
There was a
He
Conjuring
said-
3.
No, there's Conjuring 1, was just called The Conjuring. Then there's Conjuring 2. And before The Conjuring 2 came out, Annabelle came
Annabelle
out.
came
And that's
out.
based off of the doll that's in the
And then there
first
is
part of
a-
The Conjuring.
Isn't there a Conjuring 3 as well?
No, but they're going to make
No,
one.
okay.
It's not out yet. It'll probably be in a year or two. But this is the sequel to Annabelle. So it's the creation of how the doll got started.
Now
or
I've
whatever.
seen a clip or two, like the trailer.
And see, I
and
heard Annabelle.
literally-
I heard the original Annabelle was not very good, but they said this one is
well, some of the
getting
jump
rave
scares,
reviews.
some of
So-
the jump scares that I saw, like they show in the trailer, literally, I was like, "Whoa, holy
The,
buckets!"
the only thing I hate when they advertise movies like this, and I'm sure this is good, and I'm sure it's spooky in parts. They did this, I think, with The Conjuring 1 and 2 also, or maybe it was just part 2. I don't know. When they do that, I'm like, this is such bullshit. Whatever. People do not fucking act like this in theaters. When they show the theater people's reaction,
in the
and
dark,
that is
in the
bullshit.
dark, they do it in like the army.
yeah, army
like,
green, and
green.
they show some girl going, oh my god! It's like people don't fucking act like this in the theater. Stop it. Seriously, they don't. I've seen
Yeah,
many
some
horror
people-
movies.
some
and
people do,
They don't
but-
show guys jumping out of their chair, covering their faces, and like ready to like vomit and stuff like they do in the commercial. They overdo it in the commercial, dramatize
It's-
it to
yeah,
make you go
it's-
see the movie and go, oh my god.
You know,
Wow.
and that's another
It's
way.
like,
Like,
yeah, it's like just put up the reviews. The reviews
Yeah.
are really good on it. You know, go see it. But quit showing people freaking out.
it's
No,
like
it's just
no.
just-
Sooner or later,
it's very exaggerated.
It's gonna be like if you remember
and it's very annoying.
if you remember the Simpsons episode when they, they're all the kids do something or I wish I knew the name of it, but Homer and all of them literally like wreck the school. They tear up the school because the Isotopes won the championship.
Oh, it's the Bart, the one with the
Wild Barts Can't Be
Barts
Broken.
Can't
That's
be
it.
broken. Yeah.
and and they're sitting there and they're going to go see this movie.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Milhouse changes the channel, and he's like, "Ah!" And they're like, and at the end, you hear the announcer go, "There will be nurses charged of trained in scare tactics. Come to the Springfield drive-in," and then you hear the little Weasley guy going, "After dark."
Yeah, we will have people there to help anybody
Yeah.
who's too scared and dies
Yeah.
from being so scared or whatever.
I don't think here's a good question. Has anyone ever died watching a scary movie?
Probably.
Did someone have a heart attack? What I would like to know, because then it lays slight bit of clout to the thing where you see the guy sitting in the chair in the movie theater, then all of a sudden he reels back, scared to hell, pissing himself, and then he gets up and his brown khakis are now like super brown because he pooped himself. Do you see stuff like that?
I don't know. Why are you asking me this?
You go to the movie theater more than I do.
I've never seen anybody die in the audience at a movie from being too scared.
What's the last movie you saw?
I saw
We have about
Baby
7
Driver.
minutes. How was that?
That was really good. Yeah.
We saw my
Oh, no,
wife
wait.
and
I saw
Guardians Volume 2. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Baby Driver, and I saw.
Was that a double feature?
No, what else did I see that was just out? Oh, I saw Planet of the Apes.
How was that?
I saw Baby Driver, and then I saw War for the Planet
War
of
of the
the
Planet
Apes.
Apes.
Yeah, it was good. It's kind of sad. I don't want to
Yeah.
give anything away, but
Please
it's
don't.
kind of sad. But it was done very well out of all of them. I still think that first one, The Rise, is my favorite. The second
Those
one
are
is
all
very
right.
good, but it's a lot darker.
Does Tim Burton
And this
direct
one
all
is
those?
also
No, Tim
dark
Burton
too.
didn't.
No,
He did the first one and it was terrible.
I'm not sure the director of The Rise of the Planet of the Apes, but Matt Reeves is the director for this one and the last one that they just did.
Okay.
So Woody
We-
Harrelson's in this one. He's really good in it.
We saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
That was
the
the last
last
movie you
we
saw?
saw.
Wow,
And
you guys never go to the movies.
we really don't. Our lives are pretty tied up, but I mean, it was a good movie.
That
It-
is a good one, yeah.
It was not.
fun.
It wasn't as good as the first one.
Yeah, I
but,
like the first one a lot
And there
better.
was now,
But it
and
was still good, though.
It was good, but there's something in the movie, and when you see it, you will understand what I'm trying to say. And this is my opinion: is that they bring up something that really didn't need to be brought up. It was such a minor plot detail. It's when Peter finds out who his father is,
Right.
and then it doesn't. He basically like has this power now.
Oh, you can't really say anything.
I
without
can't go
giving
more
them-
than that
Yeah,
because I will
get what
totally
you're
give it away.
saying, Yeah.
But it's something that was introduced that I don't think needed to be introduced. It was such a minor plot point. It was just there, and then by the end, that particular item is no longer.
Oh yeah, I know what
And
you're
it's
talking
just,
about
it's
now.
like,
Yeah.
this is, to me, was just like, okay, this is just stupid.
Yeah.
You know, and then the fight scenes were good, and Bradley Cooper was great as
Yeah.
Rocket's, what is
I
his
mean,
name? Rocket
everybody-
Squirrel or Rocket Raccoon?
Rocket Squirrel, Rocket Raccoon. Yeah.
Rocket Raccoon and
What's his face was
and
really funny in it too.
Dave Bautista is
Yeah.
hilarious, and you don't think of him because I remember seeing
No.
him as a wrestler.
I thought he was great in the first one.
In the first one, he was great.
And it
He was
like,
great in the second
yeah,
one.
and he just
He's actually going to
he's
be
a
in,
good fit for that character.
Well, the one thing is that he is actually he's kind of got that meathead
yeah.
thing, and that's what he's playing off, and he's really good at
But
it.
he's playing off of it, almost being
Right.
sarcastically, making
He's-
fun
yeah.
of himself in a way. With
He's
the character.
he's also, I think, going to be in the Murder on the Orient Express. I believe he's going to be in
Oh, is he going to be on that?
with Kenneth Branagh
yeah,
playing Hercule Poirot.
I think Kenneth Branagh's directing that movie.
Yeah, he's directing it too, but he's
Okay.
also playing Hercule Poirot.
Okay.
And Johnny Depp is in it, but he is the guy that gets. And,
And
this
then
is not something he gets
Daisy
killed in.
Ridley's in it
Daisy
too. from
Ridley's in
Star
it from
Wars.
Star Wars.
There's a bunch of
There
people
is
in
a
it.
it's a pretty big thing, but basically they're bringing one of Agatha Christie's first stories.
I know Dave Bautista is also going to be in the new Blade Runner.
Yes.
Harrison Ford and Ryan
And the
Gosling.
previews for that are looking
2049, yep.
amazing.
It does look awesome. It's got a great director. Jared Leto's in it too.
Jared Leto,
It's got a
yeah.
great director.
Have you seen the new preview where they have more of Jared
yeah,
Leto in it?
it looks interesting.
That looks. I mean, it's got that.
Dennis, and I don't know how you pronounce his last name. It's like Villeneuve.
Villanueva?
Yeah, it's like something like Villeneuve or something. He did Prisoners, the one with Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal. Came out in like 2014 or 15.
Yeah, I don't
But he
remember.
directed Sicario, which was awesome. And he directed Arrival last year, which was awesome.
That's the one with Amy Adams. Isn't it?
But all of his movies he's done have been just really, really good. And now he's doing this, so it should be good.
You know, and
It sounds like they're doing it right. You know, they're doing it the way the first one kind of was, and they're just kind of,
yeah. Well, we were one thing that we both like is we like the first John Wick movie. The first John Wick movie
Yeah.
was really good.
The second one's awesome too.
You said the second one was good, and I was reading something the other day where it said like John Wick actually showed, and this was on Facebook, mind you, fake news, but it was like John Wick actually showed it right where it had like a gun and a clip,
yeah.
and then next to the gun and the clip, instead of this was a gun and a clip that looked like a 6-story staircase. Next to it, like, because you see the movies and they're sitting there just popping off
Yeah,
bullets.
they
never reload.
John
you know.
Wick, there in part
John-
2, they go even in more into that, where
Yeah.
he's constantly reloading as he's
Yeah.
like shooting people with another gun. He's reloading the other gun that he's
Yeah.
about to shoot people.
You know, you got to have some reality.
But it's done
Yeah,
well. And it
it's
makes
done very
you-
well.
Yeah, it makes it's all.
'Cause
It's
if you wanna
realistic in a
Right.
sense.
If
It's
you want to
mo-
see a
know.
movie that is really good, but there is no reloading, it's a movie called Hard Boiled, which one gun apparently shoots
19
617 people.
1992, John
Yes,
Woo.
John Woo. It's
Hong
an
Kong.
unreal movie. It is so good, but
It
I
is
mean,
a
literally,
fun action flick.
but I mean,
it
literally-
is crazy
the
unrealistic.
the first 45 minutes is this gun battle, and he doesn't reload once. And I'm not kidding you, he killed like 804 people. I am not kidding you. I mean, literally, he's just sitting there popping people off, and it's just like, man, at least the video game adaptation would be like,
Yeah, it's like-
you wouldn't be like, reload.
Is this the
You need to
special
shoot off the screen.
Chinese
Reload.
clip where
Yeah.
it's like 600 bullets. What's going
Yeah.
on here?
It would be like dragging on the floor for as many bullets as he shot during
It's
that time.
it is. He had 2 guns though, so he had twice as many.
Twice
That's
as
why-
many, so
that's
he could
why
he
was
could have
able
shot
to do that.
1,600 people.
Yep.
Well, we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. We got a minute and a half left. Anything that you want to bring up for the 4 people that listen? 5 now. You know, since she's been sitting on the couch.
I don't really have anything. No.
No, we
you?
do. We do appreciate everybody that does listen to us, whether what side of the aisle you are on. We do this because we want to, not because we have to.
Yes.
It's a lot of fun for us, and we hope a lot of fun for you. So, I wanted to get into some football talk, but really, it's preseason right now. Football is coming back. Praise Jesus. You know, and the Huskers are starting. We're big Nebraska fans. Hopefully, this will be a good season this year. You know, I'm hoping good things
Let's
from
not
my
count on
Chiefs.
Your Chiefs should be good this year.
Yeah.
Actually.
Do you have a team this year now, or Or you still sticking with your Rams now that they're gone?
I have to. I can't jump on any bandwagon.
No, you're an LA Rams. Well, this is one that sucks is there's no more Governor's Cup game. That's one.
Oh
that
yeah,
sucks.
there isn't now.
No more Governor's Cup game. So, well, that's going to be the end of the program for us today.
We'll get into some football next time.
You know, hopefully. Next,
a little bit more
we
involved
actually are
next
going to
time.
take 2 weeks off because next week I'm on vacation. The next 2 weekends I'm on vacation.
Oh, that's right. You
I'm going to South Dakota, so hopefully, I can bring back some cool stuff from there. And
Really?
And
Can you get me a feather?
we'll do my best.
Okay.
All right. Speaking for Buck Russell,
Marcus Cross.
we'll see you next time on the Bull Session podcast. We'll see you in
Excellent.
about 3 weeks. Good night. Till we meet again, my friends.